And then the next day, he was willing to speak to our conducting classes, our graduate classes, undergraduate conducting classes, music ed classes. And one of our freshman students raised their hand after Fred had talked for about an hour and a half and said, well, could you tell us what your long-term goals are? And without dropping a beat, Fred said, staying alive.
Well, the first musical influence was part of the hobby of my senior uncle, Charles Putnam, who had created with his other brothers this wonderful Civil War encampment. He called it Camp Zeke, and it had, in addition to all other things that a platoon of the Civil War would have, it had a fife and drum corps. My mother had me by the hand, and we were standing by the ring in which they played, and she told me that when they were playing, I broke away from her and ran into the middle of the ring of the players, including my father, who was a great fifer, and I never got over that. I asked my father after that was over with if I could learn to play the drum.
Ray Duncan found some maestros going through their paces in Mission Viejo.
Now keep this hand out here for now. Now we're going to bring this hand, bring this one out like this.
Toscanini may not have started this way, but the class in orchestra conducting looks upon Frederick Fennell as the foremost teacher in the field. Even the Marine Corps has landed here in Mission Viejo to learn about band leadership.
Into this position. Now then thrust them forward. 1, 2, 3. Now go up over your head. 1, 2. Keep the fingers together. Don't let the fingers go apart. That's no good. All the music slips through. You don't want that. Keep the fingers together.
His students are music teachers themselves, mostly in colleges. Dr. Fennell is noted for his work at University of Miami and Eastman Rochester School of Music. In this session, he's stressing body awareness, balance, and control. He says the smallest gesture needs the greatest control. The kind of body dynamics he wants, the awareness of what hands and arms are really doing, the feeling of intensity without tension, can best be achieved, he feels, by getting the class into a situation not usually associated with symphonic music. Now they will be forced to feel each move they make.
The next thing I want you to do is to go down. And then bring yourself up with it. Like a Polaris missile, watch. You gotta pull yourself up out of the water. You feel that? Pull it up. Pull it up.
The resistance of the water is an effective teaching tool in spite of any disadvantages. And now, for the first time, we're about to hear some music. He could have hummed a bit of Handel's water music, but he blew it by choosing Beethoven. Ray Duncan, KNBC News.
I was at Long Beach State and had just been there. I must have been 30, 31 years old. And I was to do half the concert, and Fred Fennell was to do the other half. And he was going to come in later, so we rehearsed like every Sunday afternoon, and I was to prepare not only my music, but his music. And it turned out that I was actually more conscientious about preparing his music, because what I wanted to have happen was I wanted him to stand on the podium, start to conduct, and then say, there's nothing to do. Everything has been done just the way I want it. Because I had actually studied his recordings, I knew all the nuances, I knew where all the bass drum accents were, I knew everything about what he was doing with those pieces. In my estimation, there was no need for any more rehearsal. So what actually happened was he stood on the podium and took that performance-ready preparation and just took off.
The first thing we have to learn about tubas is that they're not all alike. They come in all different sounds and sizes.
Some, the tubing curls around, some of it goes straight. The tubas are small bells or large bells.
But they're all tubas.
But they're all tubas. Arriving in Rochester, in the first time I was there, the first week I was there, I discovered to my absolute amazement the University of Rochester, which is the parent institution, or the Eastman School of Music. On neither of these two campuses was there a wind group of any kind. And it all just added up right for me. I had this idea in my idea that we had to get into the recording scene as soon as we could. I'm carrying around in my wallet the music I wanted to record, so in case he ever asked me, I wouldn't hum and haw. I would have the answer. So one day he called me in, and he said, "I'd like to invite you and the Wind Ensemble to join me in this new Mercury program. And what would you like to record? I'll give you $2,000. You know? I said, well, I have a program here, Dr. Hansen. I reached my wallet, came out with this program, gave it to him. And there was this silence I had learned to respect. And then he said, oh, Fred, you know, you won't sell 10 of these. They had for sale, for 35 cents, Historic Guide to the Battlefields of Gettysburg. And I was going to read myself to sleep, leafing through the book. And finally I come to the second day's Battle of Gettysburg, my birthday, 2nd of July. And I see this reading, a quotation from the diary of Colonel Fremantle of the Coldstream Guards of England, who was Lee's guest for this trip up to the north. And he wrote in his reply and statement about his visit there to the Coldstream Guards that at the second day's battle I was in my customary place up in a tree watching the whole thing happen. At the height of the cannonading in the afternoon, suddenly this Confederate band of musicians struck up waltzes and polkas which sounded very strange and unusual during the bursting and hissing of the shells. I was out of bed like a shot, because I knew right where that place was. I knew where Longstreet's battery was. And I went over there. I sat astride one of these great Napoleon cannon that he had. It was a beautiful night, so quiet. Really wonderful moonlight, very still. And I just promised myself that it couldn't end here. I had to do something about this.
Playing on the Appomattox bugle was, in its own way, a very haunting experience.
The way that he taught and the way he conducted just completely changed my whole attitude and mindset about conducting and making music.
Your business is to make music with the people in front of you. Doesn't matter who they are. It's the people in front of you that you make music with. Might be the Cleveland Orchestra, might be junior high school that has only been together for 3 months. You make music with the people in front of you. That's been my philosophy.